further, so I would like to just summarize and introduce our work to you. So what is the Teach with Erasmus project about, and what are the main ideas here? As it was mentioned, this is an Erasmus Strategic Partnership project, and it started in November 2018. So now we are more than the half of the project passed, so this is the time when we can present many findings and outputs to you, and it will continue until August 2021. So this will be the closing date. The consortium partners, it was already mentioned that it is Etouche-Lorraine University who coordinates this project, and we have 2 university networks involved as partners, the European University Foundation and UNICA, as well as 2 universities involved, University of Alcalá and UniLaSalle. Here you can also see our logos, maybe the visualization also helps in remembering our team. And the main topic, of course, is the teaching mobility in the context of the Erasmus program. A little bit about the background and challenges. Many things have been already mentioned, but this is what our starting point was about when thinking about teaching mobility. So what we know that teachers are the engine of the higher education, and they are also a key factor in internationalization strategies. And they play a very crucial role in supporting student mobility and credit recognition. However, the challenge remains that teaching mobility is still a rather unexplored area in many ways. We also face organizational difficulties when it comes to teaching mobility. We have an 8-hour spot to organize, and this remains still a challenge for teaching mobility. We face the problem that teaching mobility is often not of sufficient quality and not easily accessible for everyone, and especially junior staff is one of the target groups that can access teaching mobility a little bit harder. So these were the challenges, and our team was thinking about how to address these challenges and what could we do in the frames of an Erasmus strategic partnership to help teaching mobility, to support teaching mobility. So our idea was to come up with 4 intellectual outputs to produce within the frames of this project. And the very first output is grant research, which set the basis for our work. Then we also wanted to tackle with the quality aspect, the pedagogical educational aspect of teaching mobility with a catalog of pedagogical tools and methods. When it comes to organizational challenges, we thought about creating a platform for teaching mobility where which would support the teachers and institutions to find each other and to promote teaching mobility and support organization in this way. And to summarize our findings, we are planning to do a policy recommendation paper. A little bit more about each output. So the first one is the research, which was conducted by Etouche-Lorraine University researchers. And whenever it comes to the specific field which was investigated here, the starting point is that the recent Outcomes assessment of staff mobility strongly focuses on input and output indicators. So we know what's happening before, we know the outcomes, but there is a lot of things we don't know about the contextual and process elements. So why the outcomes happen, what's happened to the participant, what are the factors that affect the participants and the specific outputs we have. Also, we realized that we need a complex measurement regarding the topic from quality assurance perspective, and that a research would be really necessary that has personality factors included and pedagogical dimension as well when it comes to teaching mobility. So this will be presented more in detail during the first session by Laszlo Horvat, who will give you a deeper insight to the research findings from this specific aspect. And based on this research, we developed a quality and impact tool for teaching mobility assessment. Now this intends to be a very, very practical tool for all the stakeholders that come to the question when it comes to teaching mobility. So the quality and the impact tool has a section for institutional level tools, for policymakers in the institutions and for international coordinators. Laszlo will present it in detail, but to give you an idea what you can find here, I can mention that, for example, you can have a list of very useful comprehensive aspects that you can measure in a survey or in a self-assessment process when it comes to the quality of teaching mobility. And also we have very practical tools for the academic staff who are the participants in teaching mobility. There we included many different tools which support the pedagogical aspects, the evaluation, and so on. The second output is a catalog of pedagogical tools and methods, and it is being developed by our partner UniLaSalle as a main coordinator. And here our starting point was that the training and teaching staff, the training of teaching staff in pedagogy in higher education field is very recent in Europe. That means that the higher education staff does not typically receive that much training on pedagogy that's, let's say, on lower level of educations. This is something that we really should enhance. The institutional practices on the pedagogical training and the national practices are quite unequal. So there are institutions and countries that are better performing in this regard, and there are others that follow a little bit behind. So this is a huge and complex issue, and we realize that we can't really, of course, tackle it within the frames of this project comprehensively. But we realized that it is really important to raise awareness and to collect a database of innovative tools and methods as a starting point that we think it can be very beneficial for teachers when they prepare for the mobility. So to raise awareness of this aspect and to give a starting point for preparation. And the center development of this project is the platform itself. As Luciano mentioned, UNICA has the iMotion platform that is well known in Erasmus program and used by many program country universities to realize staff mobilities. But somehow since now there is no platform for teaching mobility which could support the organization of it. So this is the first time when we can present the first version of platform. And this is the event where we really count on your participation in the testing and giving us feedback on its features, what could be included, are the functionalities working well, and so on and so forth. So basically about the platform, you can see that our target group are teachers to use the platform and higher education institutions. We were thinking about a platform that is used for offering and searching mobility opportunities, but not only teaching opportunities, but also training opportunities for teachers. So as I have mentioned, it is really important for us, for you to check the platform and give us feedback. And in this presentation, you can find a link to the survey where you can give feedback on the platform. But also stay tuned, because during the second session, our colleague from UF will present the platform in more detail. And the fourth intellectual output of Teach with Erasmus project is an impact analysis and policy recommendations paper, basically to turn our findings into concrete proposals to policymakers. The main areas we want to cover here is how to reduce the existing barriers for teaching mobility on national, institutional and individual level, how to facilitate the access to teaching mobility, and especially for junior staff, as I mentioned, being a specific target group for us, how to improve quality assurance in teaching mobility. We also want to tackle the topic of recognition in teaching mobility in Europe, and also a very important aspect of promotion and access to information on teaching mobility. These are the aspects that are based on our existing research as key areas to address when it comes to the quality aspects of teaching mobility. Okay, so as I mentioned, the project is still to last for until August 2021, and we have still very interesting events to come for you to join and to participate in our work. Because of the COVID situation, we had to postpone teaching and training events for teachers, but we really hope that we can organize them in spring. Of course, we will consider virtual formats of teaching mobility, realizing that it has its limitations in the competence development aspect of teaching mobility, yet still being useful for development of IT competences of staff and teaching competences. So we would love to see you in our teaching mobility weeks, which will be in Budapest and then in Alcalá during the springtime. And also there will be a specific conference on pedagogical tools and methods question when it comes to teaching mobility. And there will be a closing conference when we will launch the final version of the platform in Budapest. Thank you very much for your attention, and please stay tuned for our events and regarding our project. And here I included the website of our project, where you will find all the recent information and also the exact link